Alright guys, such a comic again. I hope you're doing well and enjoying your day so far. The drama continues going into the Esports World Cup. The Ravens controversy continues, but Dashy reveals that during the biggest depths of OpTic's hardship this most recent season, the conversation was had in quite some depth with Scump about potentially coming out of retirement and coming back to save the OpTic team this most recent season. Scump says, look, I probably wouldn't be giving you a 1.4, but I could have given you something reasonably good, but he was pretty skeptical, I'm sure, of stepping back into a team in that situation. In the end, though, it all worked out at the end of the season. Very much enjoyed your thoughts on the comments. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always. I would greatly appreciate it. Some entertaining comment in reply to this one. And to be honest, it was all thanks to this man on the right hand side, Mr. Beans, and well, the visa issue that he had, that the whole thing that's happened over the last couple of months really has even played out as it did. Pred, I think, did a retweet on this because the World Cup opening ceremony was yesterday with Post Malone. It's kind of funny because the World Cup already began, Valorant and stuff is already underway and has been for a few days, but the official opening ceremony was yesterday, and Black Ops 6 is going to be played, of course, as we know, out there in Riyadh in a couple of weeks' time. One team, though, that won't be there is the Ravens. Now, the drama on this continued. If you guys didn't see this, Ravens have made substantial changes to their team, or at least they tried to. Now, they didn't necessarily want to. It's purely the way the contracts were written. They didn't have the extension through to the end of the World Cup. And, you know, that was something that if they probably wanted to resolve, they had to do an awful long time ago. But TJ, Gwinn, they decided to leave to go to different teams, and therefore Ravens needed to change their roster substantially. They wanted to drop Rex as well, which they did. They tried to sign Afro and FDOT and Cobra, and then they were informed recently by the World Cup that you can't make that many changes, you ain't coming in, Buster. And obviously there was some controversy about it because this probably means that the Falcons get a much friendlier group. So, you know, there was some discussion as to whether that could be involved. But the reality is there was a rule in place. Ravens couldn't comply with the rule and therefore they've been disqualified. Now, exactly how this transpired is still very concerning, I would say. And just before we get to that, I wanted to share this from aBeZy, because aBeZy revealed on stream yesterday that he actually had an offer from the Ravens at the start of the year, which is, I mean, he does say, so I don't need to say it for him, that he was an idiot to reject it. But that Ravens team was promising. The only confusing thing about the Ravens team that was formed at the start of the season was Vivid, right? Because Vivid was on the flex, and everyone's wondering, well, why is Vivid on the flex? Doesn't really make much sense. Probably not going to last forever. And yeah, that was true. Should they have dropped Vivid? Of course, in hindsight, the DylanRex pickup didn't work, did it? But the team was on a downhill decline anyway. But everyone knows that team at the start of the season was pretty damn good. You know, they were a serious threat. They did well in the minors, at the major at the start of the season with Slasher, TJ and Gwinn. It's a solid core. It's a very solid core. And presumably, aBeZy had an offer to join Slasher, TJ and Gwinn as the flex on the team. Could you imagine how good that team would have been in Search? Slasher, Tej, and aBeZy on the same team? Like, that is an ultimate Neslo team if I've ever seen one, right? They are going to be winning a lot of 2s and 5s, and they won a lot of 2s and 5s anyway with Vivid, even though he wasn't the best Search and Destroy player and hasn't historically been. You put aBeZy in that team instead, I mean, you know, they could have been seriously deadly. Would they have done much different in terms of overall results as they did this season? Maybe not, but certainly for aBeZy, like, you know, you weren't gonna, what did he think? OpTic were going to go pick him up? And to be fair, if aBeZy had been better in challenges, OpTic might have gone and pick him up, to be fair. So, you know, who knows what could have happened. As I say, when OpTic were in the depths, they were trying anything, and I think Hector even mentioned at some point that bringing back aBeZy was at least something that he floated as an idea. But look, you get an offer from one of the 48 spots in the league, especially with some respectable teammates who have won championships before. Feels like a big mistake to reject it. And, well, in hindsight, aBeZy's probably figuring that one out. But I wanted to share a couple of minutes here what Brian Saint had to say. So he talks with Zuma and Benjay about what happened at the World Cup, the emails that he did or did not receive. And yeah, I find this all rather remarkable. Maybe Ravens were cooked anyway just because of the way that the contracts were. Maybe there was nothing they realistically could have done about it. But this just screams of incompetence from top to bottom. I don't understand how. Saint says that he got the email to invite them to the World Cup on the Wednesday of the World Championship, but all the other teams got their emails back in May. Even Boston and other teams who aren't representing like an Esports World Cup club, they're just representing their own franchise, franchise, they got the invites a couple of months ago as well. I think he said that, you know, he went back to have a look at the emails, he couldn't see it, maybe it slipped through the cracks. And look, even in Formula 1, there was a rumour last year or whatever when the Cadillac entry, the Andretti entry was trying to come into Formula 1, and over there we're talking billions and billions of dollars. There was an email that they received to say, hey, we want to have a conversation about your entry, and apparently that email went into junk and was never seen, and therefore screwed the whole process up. So, like, it kind of happened that emails go missing. But it's difficult to believe that Saint probably shouldn't have said, hang on a second, the World Cup's only in like 6 weeks. Maybe I should ping an email to see what's going on, see what the details are, or ask somebody I know at another team how the prep for the World Cup's coming on. Like, isn't that the whole job, to make sure that they're going to be there with no difficulties? Look, maybe they were cooked regardless, and this was never going to end well, but it's still not a great look, in my opinion.
Well, no, because you're saying that, like, you don't know how the fuck you're going to limit it.
Yeah, that's true. And yeah, I didn't take a spot. I'm just a moron.
Well, what spot was
Carolina.
And what was that?
Vivid. At the start of the year.
Bro, what? Why do you take that?
He said, bro, I'm literally an idiot.
I think early Monday morning, Isaiah decided to leave, which resulted in Tees deciding to leave as well. I mean, but
Isaiah's Gwinn, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, just for people.
So, I mean, the contract thing was definitely a little unfortunate, I would say, but I think everything else factored in a lot more.
Because was there ever an indication from like ownership meetings over the course of the year, you know, in the spring, that like it was going to head in this direction as far as their role and when contracts end, or did that just kind of come out of the blue?
That kind of just came. That kind of just came out of the blue. The issue that made it really weird for us is we didn't receive our EWC invite until the Wednesday we were at Champs, is when I got the email asking us to confirm us competing in EWC. So obviously when we were, scrimming that day, I said, yeah, sure, we're down. And it wasn't until yesterday that I found out every other CDL org got their invites back in May, either before Major 4 or right after Major 4. So all of their rosters and their visas were submitted, roughly a month and a half or 2 months before us. And I thought originally it could have been something to do with the club partnership program, but even Boston said they got their invite back then. So all these teams were registered for EWC long before us, before we had any info on the tournament really at all.
You know why it was delayed?
That's crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah.
No, I never got an answer on that, because I just found out about that the other day, and I was trying to ask why our invite was so late. Once I learned all the other teams have been registered for a while now and probably had significantly more info on the tournament. In that email, it also mentioned that we needed to maintain 3/4 of our roster, but looking through the emails we received, there was no mention of that. Maybe the teams that signed up much earlier kind of got a more comprehensive, packet of rulebooks or anything, but we only had that invite email and the following email just with the sign-up forms. There was not really anything else given to us. So I was really caught off guard when I received that email. I tried emailing them saying, hey, is there any way we can talk about this? We didn't see any note of the 3/4 roster rule. Not that it was something that we would have been able to accommodate with due to, our 2 players leaving when we thought we were going to have them for EWC in the first place. And yeah, I sent multiple emails after that first one when they were saying they were going to review our roster, and I didn't receive a single email back over the span of the week until yesterday, just when I got an email only saying that they were going to deny our participation at EWC.
So they never reached out to get more information, give you a phone call,
correct. Yeah, correct. I asked for a phone call. I sent about 5 emails. Didn't hear anything back.
And look, I don't know whose fault this whole saga is. All I'm saying is Ravens consistently are the most incompetent organization, and like that hasn't changed. So, you know, whoever's at fault, I don't know, and maybe Ravens will disappear from the league anyway next year. As Scrappy says, no way the greatest S&D player of all time has been playing at the World Cup. So there was some drama about this a few months ago. There was talk about the greatest search and destroy player ever. Slasher was pretty convinced that it was him. So yeah, I think that's what Scrappy's gonna get anyway, and says Zuma says I couldn't make it. Bats goes, I'll be there, don't know what you're talking about, but Slasher will not be there because the Ravens will not be there, and of course some frustration from the Slasher side, as I'm imagining you can understand. There's also this I thought was pretty funny. You're telling me Reese Vivid is going to be at Champs at the Ravens Art interesting turn of events, because yeah, it's been an interesting few months. Vivid qualified emphatically for the World Cup with his Challengers team after getting dropped. You know, the Vivid curse just happens again, doesn't it? You can't stop it. You know, Destiny arrives all the same. You drop Vivid, he's gonna get his lick back somehow, right? And this time he's made it to the World Cup, and Ravens aren't even gonna be there. So it's pretty remarkable. There was a bit of talk about it, right? Because last year, Boston made a lot of changes for their World Cup spots. And, well, presumably this year, maybe that was the decision that the World Cup made, that they didn't want to see that happening again. So that's the Ravens drama out of the way. Let's talk about the situation with OpTic, because they sat on the podcast. It was, you know, the B2B duo, people are calling them, Shotzzy and Dashy, sitting down with Zin and Scump talking about the season. And what a roller coaster of a season it was. We know that when they're in the depths of hell in that 0-18 run, they would probably have considered every single option at that point to get them out of that hole. And one of those options was to talk to the king. Now, the funny thing is that Scump, I swear, every year for the last, ever since Scump's retired, every year, because OpTic have gone through pretty much roster turmoil every season, apart from really last year, 2024, when they won champs as well. Every other time, Scump has been asked at some point, like, hey, you know, what do you think about coming back? Scump still absolutely has the ability to come back, and he has the competitive drive to come back. The thing that would stop Scump is, well, it's not like he has the drive exactly, because he wouldn't want to get on and scrim, you know, and put in all the time like he used to back in the day. But I think he misses the competition to some degree. What he doesn't miss is the idea of, okay, he has his legacy, and do you want to come back for the odd league match here or there, or try and save the team? And if it doesn't work out, then, you know, what does it mean for you? Is it really worth it? And these are totally valid questions that I'd also be asking if I was in Scump's position. But could he come back and do a seriously good job and still be a top player in the league? I don't have much doubt about that. Like, this guy was and is still different. So Dashy was saying to Seth, like, yeah, okay, I know you retired and passed the baton over to me for me to continue the legacy, but, you know, maybe just come back one time. Like, the team's in a bit of a shambles, right? It's going to be me, Shotzzy, we don't know what to do with the rest of the team. Probably going to get rid of Kenny, Preds, causing issues. So, you know, we're going to have to make some changes. And Scump was like, well, maybe I could do a job. But in the end, they made the decisions they did, and it wasn't necessary. But again, another year of OpTic drama, another year where Scump had the conversation anyway about coming back to the team. It would have been insane had it happened. In the end, of course, it worked out best for all parties. They somehow found their way to navigate through it. They got Huke back. Huke improved dramatically. They brought in Mercules, and the rest is history. It could have been very different with Scump. I mean, I also wonder where Scump would have stepped in for the team, right? Because when he retired, there was lots of talk about him moving to the flex role. I mean, if you guys ever watched Scump during his career, as many of you I'm sure did, you'll know that Scump would often run around with a sub and drop crazy numbers, but if he picked up an AR off the ground, the guy was absolutely cooking. And, you know, I think Scump, towards the end of his career, I'd have loved to see Scump play flex for a year on OpTic. I think he would have just been devastatingly effective with his playstyle. So I do wonder whether even that was an option for OpTic at the time, but in the end it wasn't required, it wasn't necessary, because, you know, they managed to find the Messiah.
Yeah, for sure.
Dude, this year was not even real, I swear to God.
Dude, you guys almost picked me up. Thank God.
I mean, I tried.
Thank God you didn't
we're trying to riz him up.
I'm not dropping 1.4s. I would have gave you a 1.0 consistent, and I would have taken the right routes, but I'm not dropping 1.4s at the age of 30.
We would have been godlike.
I actually wonder, like I've talked to my chat a couple times, I wonder what the viewership would be if you came back, like your first match. Because it would have to be It would
Dog,
be
it
huge.
would've been
Like,
insane. It would've been
It
insane.
would be
Like mid-year, like in the circumstances too. Like if you were to just come back in general, it would have been insane. But with like us
struggling
being 0-18,
team,
you're like
imagine
Superman
you did.
coming in.
We win one match, everyone's like, "Holy shit, he's the goat."
Yeah, holy shit, we're going with Jazz.
Just one match. I'm like, "Yep."
Yeah, we
And
beat
then I
LEG.
retire again.
If we beat LEG 3-1, it's like holy shit, he's back.
LAG, give me him. Kismet.
So very much interested to your thoughts, as always, and all this stuff in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, take care, and I'll see you next time.